Hello and welcome back to the harbour on this bright sunny day for what's going to be our early epic instalment of Purple Revisited. Hope everyone's having a good day. Plenty to share since the last time out, so let's get stuck into it. And let's try and remember not to open up the inventory because yes, Brian, in the last quest I did overflow and was having to discard stuff out of chests. First thing to mention, I've touched on it before, but there are 4 separate toggles if you play in the Enlightened Spirit main tree, which we obviously are as the tanky Warlock, this tree here. There are 4 toggles in here that persistently toggle off on logout, so you need to remember to put them back. They are your Eldritch Aura, this second core, the Aura of Courage. That one for some reason stays on, the Aura of Menace. This one doesn't, the Celestial Spirit. Now that costs you 3 imbue dice if you forget to toggle it on, as I repeatedly have. There's also Featherfall on there. The immunity to knockdown, yeah, I've been noticing things that go through that, like the web line trip from the Drow in the Underdark. You're not immune to that, although it does seem that you have a dex save against that. And the green dragon in Don't Drink the Water in the Evening Star Well quest knocked me flat on my face, did a good job at it. So it's by no means all-encompassing, but it's better than nothing. I'm guessing the same is going to apply for the Unyielding Sentinel equivalent, this one here, immune to most forms of knockdown while wearing a shield, so eventually we'll be getting that, but again there'll be some things that are going to knock us over. I guess that's why they put most, because they know there are some, either intentionally or not, that are going to knock us over. What else have we got? Yeah, so there's those 4. I've kept them in a separate place to remind me to put them back on. So let's look where we finished off, at least at the moment, for the heroic enhancements. Now at the moment I've probably got more in here in the, let's call it the offensive tree, the Tainted Scholar, than I might end up with at the cap. My original plan was to get at least 7 into here so I could have 10 PRR and MRR from the Casting Shield and Night Shield, both of which we have in our spell book. But I'm kind of debating, is it worth sacrificing? We'd be sacrificing having a Death Ward spell, and sometimes things like the horses in Dryad and the Demigod can dispel your Death Ward, so relying on a clickable might not be the best plan. And also there's 20% spell crit damage for the times when we are trying to go it alone. So I'm not sure about that. I may end up leaving this pretty much as is. May end up putting 7 in here, I'm not sure. Here at the moment we've gone all in the light spell power. That's going to change when we get to the cap. We're going to focus on the PRR and MRR down here, because light isn't going to be the be all and end all for us. It's going to be more force and cold. If you remember, the light will just be powering the imbue when we get to the cap, so lesser importance. I've put the points into the shifter tree, as mentioned. Very nice tree for our build. We've got constitution, we've got extra rages, recharging rage. The only thing we don't have at the moment in here, if you remember, if you saw the life with my druid fools, we were using the rages to trigger in conjunction with his blood feast filigree, isn't it? To trigger those awesome temporary hit points. At the moment I don't have that on my sentient weapon. I've just got a sort of fairly bog standard glaciation weapon from the Borderlands, and I don't have the blood feast filigree in there, so we can't manipulate the rages until we get to the cap. But that said, between Shining Through and Stanch we still do have decent sources of temporary hit points, and it gets better because I've noticed that the Shard Storm, which shouldn't give you a boost to temp hit points until you pick up this one. Can you see at the bottom there, Thorn? Shard Storm also grants Shard Reflection, 25% of max hit points as temporary hit points. Well, you can see there I haven't got it, and yet still the Shard Storm, can we see, or we could if I took the thing out of the sea there, it's given us a temp hit point boost, see, without having taken the second enhancement in the tree. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Looks like it's a bug, but we're going to be using Shard Storm anyway. I'll be taking that in the fullness of time, so it's just something to know. From the level 20 we were using that. I didn't know about it at the time. I was just looking up at the hit points and thinking, oh, okay, we'll take it. So let's just finish off with the heroic enhancements. So yes, Shifter, while a lot of this is while raging, well, it's all focused around the rage, so need to remember to keep that on. Longer lasting rages, so we've got rages now which are lasting there, as you can see, 5.5 minutes. It scales with your con skill, and as that is into the 60s now, it's early 60s without the rage bonus. The rage itself gives us 4 on con. So yeah, lasting a nice long time. We've got more PRR while raging, nice to have. We have more con while raging, so we're getting 6 con actually when triggering a rage. 2 from the tree and another 4 just for doing the rage. And more healing amp, that's independent of raging, but it's also giving us immunity to the fatigue that you'd normally get from when the rage finishes, so that's nice. 30 more healing amp, not bad at all. And then this top tier thing, very nice for a tanky element. 20% to threat gen, not just for melee. I noticed quite a few of the trees, like the paladin one, it's melee only, which is fine if you happen to be a paladin, but for a build like ours, like I considered doing a dip into the paladin, because there are plenty of nice things in that Sacred Defender tree, but I thought you're going to reach a point where you're not a Warlock anymore, so I left that to one side. 10 PRR and the 5 quality bonus to max hit points is very nice, and that means that we don't have to, we can kind of save a feat there by having that as well, because can we see that? At the top of the Sentinel tree, which we'll be going in, normally we would take that, sorry, no, this one there. We'd gain the Deific Warding feat, but how's that going to work? No, just ignore me. We're going to take that anyway, but we don't need the quality bonus. So we're going to pick up the feat in this tree. That's it. We're going to pick up the feat in this tree, and that's going to free us up a feat when leveling to take something different. So that's what I meant. Apologies for the long-winded explanation. So that's the heroic enhancements. We've got more healing amp at the top there. We've got the shining through, which you've already seen. You haven't seen these two cores, have you? So this one we've already discussed, imbued ice and feather falling, and that one, capstone, quite nice. Con is nice for the, well, obviously it's logical as well, it's a con tree, isn't it? Competence bonus to max HP, very nice. A bit more spell power, and full base attack bonus. That would have helped us with the weapon swinging side of things, I'm guessing. So maybe I experimented a bit too early with that, but still nice to have. So that's the heroic enhancements. The epic is obviously a work in progress, and it's just tailored towards leveling at the moment, so not really much of an investment in what will be our main tree, the Sentinel. Just enough to get the energy resists and the excellent heal renewal. Still not had to do too much on the positive healing side. As you can see, we've got renewal and cocoon, from Primal. Running along on Reaper 1, I was doing just fine with the 10 hit points. I just tried as a test a quest on Reaper 4, the Haywire's Foundry, and of course the incoming hits are nastier, things are lasting longer, and then we were getting pushed sometimes into our actual hit point pool, at which point I was triggering the 2 heals to reasonably good effect even with Reaper 4. Draconic, this is going to be it's a tree that's needed for this one here, casting spells while raging, with no other way to get that. But while we're in here, we might as well make the best of it, and there is some decent stuff for us, both for the tankier side of things. We've got armor class and fortitude saves, eventually a no-fail fort save, which will be very nice, as our fort save will be very high, being as we've got high con, so to not fail on a 1 will be good. And you can see already we're up to a decent amount. But no, there's other sort of tanky stuff, PRR, MRR in there. There's bonuses to reflex saves. But on the offensive side, there are certain... oh, actually, there's another nice tanky thing here. Scales of the Dragon, which we've seen before when Fools was leveling as a druid. So another nice layer of defense. But on the offensive side, I've been having my eye on this one. Breath weapons have a chance to paralyze enemies with no save. Obviously, I'm very interested in no save because we are going to have derisory DCs at the cap. And then when we get to here, we can have the energy vortex. So our breath weapon, if you want to call it that, will be a swirl of energies around us, which will go very well, I think, with our AoE bursting build. It's in ticks, so every 3 seconds for 15 seconds, so that should be nice. I think the cooldown is less than that, so that could be always up, and always with a chance of triggering this paralyzing effect on the multitude of opponents that will be around us. I'm thinking that could work quite well. Obviously, it's subject to a save, this, because it's based off the Dragon Breath thing here. So we can expect only to do half damage with it when we get to the cap, but still half damage, fully meted with several ticks and with a chance to cause a paralyze. I've never tried anything like that before, and I look forward to seeing the results. But for now, for the here and now, we've dipped into the acid side of the primal avatar for our damage. So the Carrion Swarm, I think some of us have been talking about this anyway in the comments, haven't we? It used to have no save, so it would have been an amazing fit for our build, even at the cap. Now they've added a save, but it is, luckily for us, a conjuration save, which is our highest one at the moment, and as such I've managed to get that into the sort of late 50s in Reaper. I do have some Reaper points backing the build up. I will respec at the cap and not have so much of an investment in the mage tree. I'll be packing out the Grim Barricade tree, and that one will be a secondary. But at the moment we've got spell power, spell DCs to help our leveling efforts in there. So that's quite nice. So Shard Storm, as well as temperate points, it's giving a bit of damage. I'm by no means spec'd for acid, but between the Carrion Swarm, lovely low spell point cost and nice short cooldown, and the Shard Storm, it's a bit of extra. And the Carrion Swarm is an AoE as well, so that's quite nice. Just taken the Evergreen, and in addition to that, if anybody didn't know, that's a big source of temporary spell points during the quests. So if you're having mana issues when leveling a caster, this is great. Or even at the cap, my Druid Fools, as you may or may not know, is running in the cap. Not optimal damage wise, but for conserving mana it's great, and allowing you to splash out on some more expensive spells. I've added to that, I've kept on the Fury Orb for the Coalesced Flame, which keeps triggering if you saw the last episode, for those nice 50 temp spell points. So between that and the Evergreen, we should be doing quite well. We don't have a massive spell point pool, but with the amount of temporary spell points we get in the quests, I expect that to be pretty good. Not much to announce on the gear side. It's pretty much the same as it was at the end of Heroic. I've upgraded, as mentioned, the Scepter. We've got a Sentient Scepter of Glaciation in there. Just put some Coalesced Magic in for a bit more universal spell power. And the other three in there, Reverberation and Snowpeak Gift, just for a few more imbue dice. A couple of Reverberation gets you 2 imbue dice, and the Snowpeak Gift another one. Sneaky little set bonus here from the Gem of Many Facets and the Epic Shaman's Beads. So some reasonable stuff on there for us. Charisma we obviously want. Topaz of Evocation is helping our blast to do damage. Spellcraft, nice for spell power. Spell Focus Mastery for all the spells on there. So not bad. And the other thing I put in, you've seen this before if you saw Fool's Leveling. I've got this Force ring. So Force, spell power and create Insightful Con, very nice for our build. And I've got Festive Wisdom or Charisma on there, depending on whether I'm doing a Druid or a Warlock. So that can be quite a nice flexible item to use while leveling. So stats wise, we've managed to get the Charisma into the low 50s, not terrible. Con in the low 60s. So yeah, not bad. I'm just about making the spell DCs work in the low Reaper in which I'm playing. Now I did test the last one in the Jungle of Kyber, sorry, in the Haywire Foundry Reaper 4, and that worked pretty well on the DC side. Now I have an apology to make, talking of spell DCs. I omitted to mention in the last episode, when we did already have it, one of the nicest elements, at least for leveling. I suspect we won't have a DC to make it work at the cap, which will be a shame, but this here, Absolute Zero, you get it at level 15, I think. Oh, it tells you there, Warlock class 15 from the Cold Pact. Now it's on a long old cooldown there, 25 seconds, but you can treat it like an instant kill. It's a freeze, and unfortunately for us it goes on transmutation, which we have no help for, but it's against a will save, which is quite nice against the big targets, and it works against things that are death warded. So all the nasty crown champions and that kind of thing, it works against those. So real nice against stuff that we would otherwise have struggled with, like let's say a red crown iron golem, which we would chip down very slowly. Just set that against it and just leave it to rot in a corner. As far as I'm aware, the things just stay frozen ad infinitum. So I hope to demonstrate the effectiveness of that thing, and I'm sorry I missed it in the previous episode. Been really great fun using that. The wind up is slow, you can't add any metas to it, but my god, against, in situations where nothing else would work, like let's say Jungle of Kyber, that boss beholder, Absolute Zero, boom, frozen, job done. And against all the beholders, in fact, even the boss beholders, where obviously the Finger of Death and the Trap the Soul, which is otherwise excellent by the way, and is Conjuration, so that's nice for us, but they're death warded, so we normally can't do anything. But that is just a really nice way of bypassing that, and I've had a lot of fun with it. The effect as well, totally in theme with the build, the frozen in the block of ice. There is an element at the bottom there that could be interesting to us still at the cap with our rubbish DC at the cap. Enemies made of fire will instead be destroyed with no save. Now I've tested against fire elemental and mephit type things, and yes, they do seem to just disappear with no indication, so that's nice. Less nice was the test in the Sharn area against Forge Wraiths. I had high hopes for it there, and I just got met with a wall of immune, immune, immune. So sadly, it doesn't work on them. Just having a quick look at the notes here. Yeah, broadly speaking, it's been plain sailing. I had one or two issues. I mean, the issues I've had have been the standard things that you would get with the caster. The Marut at the end of the Jungle of Khyber is obviously a bit of a pain to chip down. Kratos in what's it called there in Fialan, the Snitch. I mean, he's a pain for most any caster. And skeleton-derived bosses that can't be frozen. Again, they're not taking our cold damage, so not ideal. But we get through. We have ways round it. I mean, we have these two. We have Tempest and Tentacles for dealing damage. In fact, now we've got Evergreen on. I should put all the metas on, shouldn't I? And just have at it. See if we can actually make a dent in this spell point pool. Feats. So heroic feats, as I mentioned, we went all the way up the shield line. So we did general shield mastery and improved shield mastery. And I think the next one there's a greater and a perfect still to come. Just as a reminder, every one of those carries a hit point bonus as well when you take them. Epic feats, the first two for 21 and 22, fairly obvious. Epic packed dice and blast dice, so those will help us with the damage dealing. I think it tells you in the description here, doesn't it? So the packed dice, one bonus packed die straight away and an additional one per 2 epic and legendary levels, so that's a big deal. That's 7 extra dice by the time we get to, sorry, 8 including the +1. 8 extra packed dice when we get to where we're going, and the same for the blast. That will be, is that 9 extra blast dice, so that's not insignificant in terms of dealing damage if needed on your own in the quest. I know it's not the primary function of the build, but we want it to be as well as leveling nicely, which I hope I'm showing at the moment. We want it to be reasonably self-sufficient, at least in lower reapers at the cap, and that's what I hope to demonstrate when we get there. So we did the epic things already. Trying to read my own writing. Yeah, so survivability, even though we're spec'd for spellcasting stroke damage at the moment, still very good. Took a ballista to the face in the Deneath quest, and it barely scratched his actual hit points. So very nice that. What's this? Oh yeah, the instant kills are handy for. They came in handy for especially one of the quests in Evening Star 1 chain. There's that one in the forest where you have. In fact, I think there are several, aren't there? Where in those chains where there are drow slavers surrounded by temporarily hostile captured villagers, and if you can just pinpoint and take out the slaver with something like Trap the Soul or Finger of Death, or the Absolute Zero wouldn't, because it would still leave it alive, but Trap the Soul is a good one. And then all the surrounding villagers turn turn friendly, and you can, or not hostile, and you can free them from their shackles for the bonus. The only thing I had to remember to do was toggle off the aura, because the aura obviously affects and damages everything around you, and I was accidentally killing things that way on occasion. Oh yeah, I did the red fens chain leading up to this. You were asking Brian about quests. It'll be many moons ago now by the time you see this, about quests for early epic. I just do level appropriate stuff. So I just went in the Borderlands and the Beneath, the 20 and 21 stuff, Kundarak, Red Fens, that kind of stuff. And we're here, if you haven't guessed, for the Lords of Dust chain, which I haven't done yet. Evening Star 1 I've done as well, and the Drink the Water from the centre of the Evening Star area there. So just level appropriate stuff. I found even without, I don't have a VIP and I don't have a potion going, and I have enough content to go at to get me to the cap for one time around, even without taking the sagas. So yes, where was I going with that? Some of the Red Fens quests have elements of underwater, and I realised when doing those that unlike positive healing, which you can't do underwater, the Shining Through and Stanch work perfectly well. So in that situation in the Red Fens, if you know the quests, where there can be traps in and around the water area, just being able to hit these was perfect. I guess the one in the 12, which I haven't tried, I might have a go at that. The kind of a big deal where you're underwater going through that pile of spikes and Lord knows what else. It could be very useful in a quest like that. It was just nice to know. It's not something I knew. I've written no mana, no problem, especially at the moment. That some of the stuff that we've got here, if we literally did run out and we were running on Echoes of Power, first of all, we have 2 chances to trigger temporary spell points now. One from our orb, Fury Orb, and the other from the Evergreen. Any spell cast has a chance to generate 100 temporary spell points. Our Blast is classed as a spell cast, and that's free. So those 2 on a 5-second cooldown. This one is virtually free, 2 points only, Carrion Swarm. So between those 2, even if I'm left with no mana, between those 3, that's just absolutely fine for getting through most situations. So yeah, even if we did somehow manage to get through this spell point pool, I still think in most situations we'd be okay. Add to that our almost 0 cost heal there on a very short cooldown. So it's almost impossible to mess up this type of Warlock leveling. And then remember, every time that aura pulses, that's temporary hit point defences in a quest. And Stanch is free for temporary hit points, just costing the Depravity, which you pick up anyway along the way. And Shining Through is almost free, 8 spell points. So all of that you can do with no mana. So that's a real departure, I think, from a standard caster. I mean, you've probably lost count of the amount of times I've been watching mana. Although once you pick up the Evergreen, really, whatever caster you're on, you're good to go in terms of throwing stuff around and not watching it too much, I think. The Shardstorm bug I've mentioned. Oh yes, I mentioned the pulsing aura. That's doubled in Epic. Does it tell you here the effect? No, I think we'll have to go in there. No. Where does it tell you it gives hit points? I think is it? Oh, there we go. So temp hit points equal to con score and once in epic or well, level 20 or higher, the effect is doubled. So that's 120 odd temp hit points just for the ticking aura. So for standard hits like missile fire and that kind of thing, at least at this low level, it should be absorbing that kind of stuff quite nicely. Or even standing up against a boss, if I've forgotten to throw in the extra layers of temp hit points, that should mean that we are they find it difficult in some instances to go into our health. So yeah, another really nice layer of defense. I think that's probably about it for the notes I had. So the big revelation for me, at least, from this, I'd never played the Cold Warlock before, was how nice this is, this Absolute Zero. I've had a real fun time with that and hope to show it as we go. It's the only thing I can think of that we have here on this build that would be very effective against the Red Crown nasties, which mostly have Death Ward. Okay, so being as I've given it such a big up, let's man up here and try this on 4.
Inquisitor Noman waits for you near the entrance, an irritated scowl on his face.
So trying to remember to trigger the rage. The displacement should always be up.
Novice, stay near me.
Our little apple thing. And I think we'll take a Reaper power boost as well when we get to where we're going here. So remembering we can stack Tempest and Tentacles to make like a killing field. Quite effective. Shard Storm should always be on in conflict for those nice extra temp hit points. Web is still working reasonably well when everything else is down. When everything else is on cooldown rather, not down.
Their souls are cleansed. However, there may be more of them. We must press on.
So DCs, I can't see the DC for Tentacles, but the web is 53, so Tentacle will be about a 55. The Absolute Zero, as you can see, it's only a 52. I say only because some classes in late Heroic would definitely have that or better.
Oh, neat.
And that's without even talking about the, what is it, Dragon Lord melee thing. I would expect him to be in the 80s in early epic. So Reaper's a little bit of a pest to get down. Single target damage, not amazing, but still, he didn't last that long, did he? I've got my eye on that pack of dogs over there. What are we going to do about them? Tentacles, I think. Now let's see if we can do something about the big dog here with the freeze thing. There you go, happy days. I think we need to kill him anyway to get his chest, but I could just have left him. So nasty mini boss, single targets. We have the solution. I'm just gutted I didn't realise that and show it sooner. But better late than never, eh? So typically an AoE, either crowd control and or damage, and then just blast from the inside of that. Now we've got a mini boss here. No, that's a red boss, so that's not going to be... Red boss will use our cold spells, which I'd forgotten to mention. He has gone into our health a little bit there. So the cold spells, we started to mention them, didn't we, in the single target spells. We started to mention them in Heroic. So we've got 3 of them now. Nyax, which you've seen, Creeping Cold you've seen, and just the greater Creeping Cold. So as mentioned before, it's the first time I've been using Nyax, and it works different from these two. These two we have to cast them and just leave them to work, being as they're backloaded, biggest damage occurring at the end of the ticking. This one, it's on a slightly longer cooldown, 10 seconds, but we need to recast it because it can stack up to 3 times on the target, so that's what I need to be remembering. So when we get a target like that we can't deal with any other way, nice to throw those 3 on and start getting some stacking cold damage against it.
Oh, open it quick.
As the path leads down.
Now then, let's
it
we've got
begins to
some
look
10
more
hit
like
points.
a
I'll put the
dark and
stanch on as
sinister
well in
temple,
case we eat a trap
and
down
less
here.
like an empty warehouse.
So despite eating the trap, we've still got
A
over
dank
1,000
chill
10 hit points,
pervades
which
the
is
lower
nice.
level. The clink and creak of hardened steel echoes from the corridor ahead. A woman's voice drifts up from somewhere below. She speaks Noman's name, and the Inquisitor himself replies.
You will do no such thing. The Silver Flame has caused enough trouble. Soon nothing I can say will throw them off the scent. No, you will stay here and see that no one gets by. I will go below and assist our guest.
Doubling up the tentacles and tempest there. I think it made short work of everything, including the Reaper. That's lovely. Spell point wise, you can see we're barely making a dent, so that's great.
What unspeakable acts have been performed there?
So cold, can we actually freeze that guy? No. Maybe we just don't have the DC for it, so I'm going with the cold things instead. So stacking up the Nyax on him. Throwing the, I think you can see a satisfying number of cold things going there. Not bad.
Legendary.
I was throwing in the Carrion Swarm whenever it was off cooldown. So now we've got into Epic. You might recall in Heroic I was wondering about maybe swinging a weapon in between blasts. Well, now there seems to be, especially against a big target, there seems to be plenty of stuff to do between blasts without bothering about maybe doing a weapon.
That was remarkable.
Oh, major lag. Oh, whoa. The game's crashed completely there. I'll see if I can get back in. I don't know what happened there. I don't think it was lag so much as a crash, that. Hopefully, now that we might be able to see another element of the Warlock tank here, because I would guess that unless something really horrible happened there, like a Reaper, we would still be alive inside that quest, despite the fact that opponents were coming towards us. Cleaning up old connection. Come on, game, do it for the children. Okay, so here we are.
That was fun. I
I'm
look
guessing
forward
we
to working
probably
with you in
killed
future.
the one that was coming towards us. So everything's still running that should be running, apart from the displacement. Get the rage going. I think there's a trap. Oh, trap. Okay. Seem to have lost a big chunk of spell points there. Trap the soul, beautiful. Freezing. Yeah. I won't go for the third. The third would have been the Finger of Death, but these guys have probably got big... Oh, there you go. There's another knockdown we're not immune to. Although, we didn't have the... That's just... Actually, the game's done me a favour. Illustrated my point. So these four all toggled off on that enforced logout. And I forgot to put them back, me being me.
Visitor Noman stands next to a strangely confident-looking drow. They seem to be finishing some elaborate and unholy ritual.
What? Surprised I am not who you thought I was? I should have killed you at the start. This is
So
nothing,
these
my
things are
friend, a
skeleton
nuisance.
derived.
The ritual is
Our
underway,
cold probably
and the
won't do
silver
anything,
flame
will
is
it?
powerless to stop it. So
Now what's
pray,
this
shall
doom
we
thing?
continue?
How do I counteract that? Would it be bless? I don't have it anyway, sadly.
Now, give yourselves, my children. Give to the glory of our cause. Stand aside.
So
Let
we're
my
going with the
minions kill
double
this filth.
Tentacles Tempest. I think that's going to make short work of them, yes. So against Noman, I doubt very much we can freeze him. No. So we're going in with the cold dots. To remember to recast the Nyax. Hopefully we'll see some nice stacking cold damage coming there. Stanch as we are losing hit points. Yes, nice, nice, nice. A nice soul there. So same job here. I'm going to put the Hood of Unrest on as well to give us a bit more dodge against this guy. Starting with the cold stuff. Keep the 10 hit points going. Get the big AoEs down for a bit more damage. Trying to remember to keep Nyax going. Oh, he's really hammering us, but we've got loads of stacks of stanch to use, so I think we're going to be okay. And he's gone. Happy days. Now, because I was busy watching the cooldowns, I didn't see what the Nyax stacked up to, but he's still taking nice damage. And that's something I could mention. Situationally, having those dots is really nice, just convenience-wise, to avoid situations like Ogre Mages disappearing. If you get lucky and you've stacked enough on them, when they do their disappearing act, from which they would normally reappear on full health, your dot will kill them before they're able to do that. So it's just a nice yay moment. Okay.
I can't believe we did it.
Shall we go for a second one? Shall we go for the Servants of the Overlord? Oh, have I put one there? I meant to try 4. Now the end on 4 will test us, that's for sure.
You have entered the nether realm.
I've
of
never
Kyber.
forgotten the time I...
A magical
Oh, hello!
barrier built by
And
the
the time I broke the
grows on the path of
quest once by turning the the first Rakshasa here into a frog, and then nothing would happen. Now where had we got to with the buffs? Rage. I think everything's done that should be done. I can't turn you into a frog, matey, but I can try to do that. Nope. Oh, he's a champion. There you go. Perfect illustration. Red Crown champion neutralized with the ice. So yeah, big fan of that absolute zero, at least for leveling. Very nice. Leads me to wonder actually what one of these might be like at the cap if you were spec'd for DC. You'd have your Trap the Soul, Finger of Death, Absolute Zero, and if you went all out in Soul Eater, there's I think the capstone in that tree is another instant kill, isn't it? If memory serves. We're just showing off now, aren't we? Lovely stuff. Right, now come on, this is where we need to be on it.
The drow here are intently prying dragon shards from the cavern wall.
Oh, probably overkill there. Definitely overkill. The Tempest I should not have done. Okay, let's get stuck in. So he's most at home when he's sitting in the middle of the crowd and just hammering away. Which of course has its dangers. The further up the difficulties you go, you can get some really spiky damage.
Is down into Kyber's depths.
Doubling again. But speaking of spiky damage, I got some there, didn't I? So now our healing, our positive side of things on our castigators is being put to at least some use. We're not doing too much positive healing, are we?
It's a curiously well-worn path.
Are you all going to group together for me? They're not, are they?
Passageway.
Now we've got Hezro coming, haven't we? Can we? Yes, we can. We have the answer for the Hezro. Now, do I actually have to kill him? I don't suppose it really matters, does it? That's the only thing that's tripped me up, like once in Spies in the House, I didn't realise that you need to kill all the skeletons in a certain area for a little door to open up to one of the captives. And I had left a couple just frozen, as is my want, and it took me a while to work out that I was going to have to deal with them properly before being able to progress on that score. Because although it's technically an instant kill, the game doesn't count it as such. I made a proper meal of that, a real mess. I'm trying to press the instant kill key and missed it. But as I've mentioned before, particularly when leveling thing, well, that's when it really rears its head. The builds are constantly changing, so I do tend to get into a bit of a muddle sometimes with the keys. I don't think I'm doing too bad. I think I've said it before, this is a proper dressing gown and slippers build. If you're one maybe a bit like me who doesn't like to be jumping all over the place to avoid damage and just sit there in the middle, and you almost invariably will end up victorious without too much of a hassle, this could be one for you. I think the main inspiration for this one was you, Doc, when you were saying, as I've mentioned before, about struggling to level that tanky cleric build. I think we've seen already here, this thing is plenty survivable, but it can also put the damage out when you want it to, for leveling purposes. And when you get to the cap, you would hope there'd be other people in most situations to do said damage. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we go with the... oh, it helps if you pull the lever. To see how we go on with that dragon, that energy vortex thing from Draconic. Never tried that before, and it just seems like it'll be a really nice fit for the build. The only thing I would like, if I could have it absolutely perfect, would be no save. But half damage is still some damage. Is it a reflex save it goes on that thing? I can't see it in here while in the quest. I'm guessing it is, so maybe evasion things will be able to have no save against, no damage against that, which will be a bit of a pain, but... Right. Frozen champion, we'll like it. Do we actually have to kill him? Possibly. Oh, see there, I tried to trap the solar, and because she's got the death ward, nothing happened. So our freezing, what is it, absolute zero, just invaluable against those targets. Now I'm quietly confident against the trash leading up to it, but the two at the end I'm not so sure of, because I won't be able to hold or instant or anything the big is it a big Hezro that comes, so that's going to be an issue. Having to keep more of an eye on the hit points on the higher difficulty, because they do get some damage in these, especially when they have Reaper health. As you can see, the Plague Reaper, I've mentioned it before, we're not too bothered about, you know, if he hits us or not, because unless something's really hammering us, we very rarely need to do any positive healing. said, he taking damage into the health pool. So let's get the positive healing on before he hits us. I came up with a good response though, a couple of thousand temp hit points triggered there. You can see the tentacle doing its job there, ticking away quite nicely. Let's go for a double here. Come on, come all. That's beautiful. And they're giving me enough souls. We're still not making much of a dent in the spell point pool. Oh, Hezro. Not anymore. That was a bit feeble. Oh, I went for the tentacles and it was on cooldown, I think. That's what happened there. Fear Reaper, you need to go. Well done. I had to do it once, didn't I? A web against spiders. In my defence, I could see the two big things, the Tempest and Tentacles, were on cooldown, and web is kind of the fallback to those. But even so, shoddy workmanship. Got pretty well hammered by that Plague Reaper, so I just want to have a chance to get the temp hit points back up. Let's try and get the girl first if we can. Trying to keep the Nyax stacked up on it. This is going to be a test. I'm not going to be, definitely not going to be able to just stand there and... Yeah, he's hurting. Doing my best to keep the damage coming in on it. I don't know how successful I'm being. Trying to keep the temp hit points up. Oh, is he dead as well? Oh, I killed him by proxy. I wasn't noticing at all his health, so that's one advantage of the build, I suppose. A lot of the stuff that you do is, or as I've said in the past, you can kill 20 as quick as you can kill one. Yeah, I was focusing on her, trying to make sure I kept up the damage against her. Right, well that wasn't too bad. In the end, although they did hurt us badly, they didn't do too much of a job at going into our temporary, going through our temporary hit points, did they? So that was great. And on the way there, I think we had very little bother, did we? So again, that was good too. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm definitely not going to treat you to a spinner on Reaper 4. That would be somewhat suicidal. I think we're on the right path. Again, my aim with this is to show that you can totally level nicely with a build that you can then use to do to be in a reasonably tanky role at the cap, and not have to, you know, be dragged along by a group and rely on that kind of thing. Okay, I think that's more than enough waffle for one episode. So thank you very much as always for looking. I will be back, let's say around somewhere like 28, late epic, and touch base then. Take care.